Hey everybody, Bobby Moore here, and we are starting live our weekly SEOPA Periscope chat. We're going to talk about how to align your values with your passion. So, welcome. My name is Bobby Moore. I'm a four-time TEDx speaker and one of Inc. Magazine's top 100 leadership speakers. And every week I do a Periscope on here with SEOPA, sort of seize your passion, and we take on a weekly topic. And every week we talk about different things. We share them on videos, and we actually encourage you guys to join us as well. Thanks for the hearts. Love the hearts. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Let me know where you guys are from. I'd love to hear where you're from. You're from around the U.S. or maybe outside North America. Who knows? Let me know. And today we're talking about how to align your values with your passions, which they have to go hand in hand for the most part. So it's important to really understand how that works. A lot of people struggle with, trying to figure out, first off, what are their passions, but also what are their values, and why are they so important to make them work together. So that's why I'm here today, and I'm here every week at Thursday, 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to share that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I'm from Toronto. Let me know where you're from. If you're enjoying this talk, by all means, please share on Twitter, share on Facebook, share on Periscope. Give us some hearts. If you have some comments, feedbacks, share some videos. Go to seopa.com/stream or /videos or slash everything. Just go to seopa.com. You can see what's going on there. All right. So let's start off with the first thing, which is how to align your values with your passions. So, Southern California, man, I'm glad. I'm freezing here. It's so my fingers are freezing. So I wish I was in Southern California. That'd be really nice. Nice warm weather, I'm sure. For me, the first thing I think about before we even get into this is really understanding and define 88 degrees. Wow. You know what it is over here? It's like 4 Fahrenheit. 4 Fahrenheit. So that tells you how cold it is here in Toronto. So the first thing is, we have to define what values and passions are. So number one, we really don't understand what passion really means. What does that mean? What is a passion? I always say a passion is something that you do. Hey, welcome. Thanks for the hearts. Appreciate that. And I appreciate that you guys are inspired by the work I'm doing. I love that. Thanks so much. A passion to me is something that you act on or you talk about. Because passion is nothing without communication or action. If you don't talk about it or you don't act on it, it's not really a passion. It's more like a passing interest or a hobby. So passion is something you talk about a lot. You think of I think about being a photographer, and I think about rock climbing, or I talk about it maybe a little bit, but not so much. So it's not. I don't do it, so it's not really a passion of mine. But I do talk about my kids. They're a passion. I do talk about politics. Yes, I'm passionate. I talk about leadership and entrepreneurship. Yes, I'm passionate. So for me, those are things that I'm passionate about. Those are things that I care about. So that's to me what passion is. Now, values. What's the definition of a value? A value is a set of or a criteria of beliefs that embody who you are. And they're based on everything from how you grew up, whether it was with a religion or not, whether it's through your experience with people, through something amazing that happened to you, something tragic that happened to you, from your parents, your families. These are all things that are constantly defining and evolving your values as you go through. And that's why they're so core to our being, because they fundamentally are the puzzle pieces of our life, creating the essence of you, the core being. That's the values of who you are. And again, thanks for the hearts. I love that. I appreciate it. That's what your values are. So they're really, really important. Values aren't just an interest. Values aren't just a skill. Values aren't just, an experience you had. Values takes all those things together and puts them into one big heart, mind, and soul connector of who you are. And so for me, and a lot of people, values encompass leadership, values encompass relationships, values encompass everything we do. So it's really important to know how you define passion, which is anything that you talk about or act upon in a very, very great way, consistently all the time. And values are your core beliefs and essence of who you are and what you stand for. So that's what they are. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is now to think about, we need to figure out a way to define our passions in terms of our values. So, for example, yes, engaging on a regular basis is a huge part of that in terms of passion. Because if you don't, then what does that mean? Well, I go rock climbing once a month. That's not a passion. That's just a hobby or an interest. So, number two is, how you have to find a way to define your passions with your values. So, for example, I am passionate about my children because parenting is one of the greatest journeys of my life and my legacy. What I did right there is parenting is a value, and my being a dad and and my kids are a huge passion of mine. So what I've done there is I've combined the two things. Now let's say, for example, it's rock climbing. Well, rock climbing isn't really, let's say it was your passion, then what it should be more like, you know what, I love rock climbing so much because I'm really into healthy living and lifestyle and also risk taking. So what I've done now is I've thrown in risk taking and I've thrown in healthy active lifestyle as two values that align me with the whole idea of rock climbing. So, when I did my whole personal brand process to really figure out my own path, my own leadership journey, and what I do for a living, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I do a lot of content and keynotes and workshops on leadership and personal branding and networking and social media and things like that. How did I come up with that? Well, when I did my personal brand deep dive, I came up with 4 themes that came out that were aligned with my values. Now, one of my values was, people, nurturing people, helping people up. That's a big part of it. Another thing that I was really into was persuasion and influence. That's a value of mine. I value being able to persuade and influence people. So as a speaker, I get that all the time. I value diversity. So, working with different types of people, women and different ethnicities and age groups and whatnot, I find that really, really valuable. So to me, defining my passion in terms of my values is the critical step to really coming up with aligning values and passion. Because once they're then aligned, then you're like, man, these are definitely my passions. The third thing you want to think about is you want to give yourself an honest assessment of your passions and your values. We often don't. You'll say, I value status, I value money, I value balance, but then you don't act on it, right? A big thing is I value balance, yet your life is completely imbalanced. Why? Because you really don't value it. Because if you did, you would be doing everything you can to achieve that balance. So, or it's a misguided balance, or you're not fulfilled, or you're confused. So, to me, how do you get an honest assessment of your values and your passions? I would actually go to my feedback network. I'd actually talk to people and say, guys, here's my assessment of my top 10 values. What do you think? Here's a list of all the values that are really important in life. How would you think I fit with these? What do you think? Where do I fit? Which ones apply to me? And getting that feedback from a broad range of people really helps. You're big in the metaphysical world to try and incorporate with other passions. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a great idea. So you want to make sure that you're really incorporating your passions in everything you do. So getting feedback from somebody, I think, is another great way to make sure your passions are really, really aligned. I think that's something that we don't think about. And then the other one, and this is the hard one, okay, is, I was stuck in this too. I was a jack of all trades, master of none. I was passionate about many, many things, passionate about 12, 13, 15, 20 things. You have to prioritize and rank the ones that you're really passionate about. So what is it you really, really want to spend your time talking about and acting on? And what are the values that you hold most dear and prioritize above all other things? So for me, I look at fulfillment, I look at parenting, I look at leadership and growth, I look at diversity of experience, I look at sleep. That's a good one. Awesome. That's a great value. There's got to be a way to make a living sleeping, right? So when you have it's true. When you have lots of passions, it's hard to balance things, right? For sure. But that's why it's so important to actually take the time to really focus on and prioritize. So. Yeah, and your values are a part of your ideas, and if you act them on them in your everyday life, they become your passion even more and more. You can make them more fulfilling. Prioritizing is the best way, because if you prioritize your top 3 or 5, then you know where to spend your time. If you look at your calendar, and here's my calendar, and I plan my week and my month. Where do I want to spend my time? If I'm spending my time doing stuff I don't like or I'm not passionate about, that's actually a waste of time. So it's important for you to really focus and prioritize what those passions and values are and where they fit. So I rank my values. My number 1 value is love. My number 2 value is balance. My number 3 value is people. And so in everything I do, it's really a big part of that. You like that I have the old school paper calendar? Well, I have my Google Calendar on my phone, which is fine. But the reason I have the book, and I'm going to show this to you now, because here's the thing. My month on a page is awesome, right? So I just love to be able to see the whole thing in a big page like that. I love that. Whereas I can't do that on my phone. It's hard to see that. So that's why I do it. I just jot down different things. I actually don't use the internal pages very much except for notes. But I think it's great. It's really helpful to me personally. Everyone has their own system, whatever works for you. But I like to see my month on a page because I plan my month, my weeks, and my days. That's how I do it. So we're talking about prioritizing your values and passions. And so really narrowing it down to the top 3, top 5, and to have them ranked. Can you rank the different ones? That is also another big thing you need to be able to do. All right. So again, if you're liking all this stuff, by all means, please share this with your network. And if you have comments or you want to blog post and share stuff with Seoba.com, by all means, submit your blog post, share a video, do your own periscopes. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Now, what about you guys? I mean, what do you do in terms of aligning your values with your passions? I've heard some stuff in terms of values equal ideas or the metaphysical. But what are you guys doing? I mean, again, I want this to be a discussion, not me just preaching at you. Although I'll preach. If you want me to preach, I'll preach. But what do you guys do? I'd love to hear what you guys do because I think it's really important. How do you align your values with your passions? I mean, do you do a careful analysis? Do you get feedback? Do you know what your values are? Do you know what your passions are? Is there confusion there? Because if there are, then by all means share them or ask the questions below. And one of the reasons why I did this, these 15-minute weekly Periscope chats is because I want to engage you guys and answer your questions and help you guys out and share the love, share the hearts, but also share the insights. So if you have questions, by all means, please post them below. Sometimes I get overwhelmed with where to spend my time because being a mom and a wife and a friend. Yeah, well, I mean, priorities, right? What's more important? Well, the most important thing is to take care of yourself. Then you take care of your children. Then you take care of the things around your friends and family and things like that. So but again, that's priorities. I'm learning now that as much as I really was addicted to spending time with the kids, I need to feel, well, you shouldn't feel guilty if you've prioritized. Like if you know that this is number one, my health and well-being will serve my children better, my friends better, my family better, my work better, my business better, and my passions better. You'll not feel bad because you know that has been your priority. Right, so for me, my number one priority, my number one value is love, and because of that, I engage in love. And we're all working on it. We're just kind of working, we're going along, we're trying to be better, and I think it's an ongoing journey. Thanks for the hearts, appreciate that. But it's important to reassess and be aware of it, because the more you're aware of it, the more you're going to be aligned to it. All right, so if anybody has any other ideas for how to align your passions with your values. The last thing I'm going to say about aligning your values with your passions is that make sure you know the difference. There's a big difference between what a passion is and what a value is. And I am leading by example for my kids. Absolutely appreciate that. And being a better, healthier me and a better loving me and a better balancing me will show my kids that love and balance and health are so important. Yeah, taking inventory. Great. Inventory with your values. Make sure you align them. Make sure you take the time to prioritize them. Make sure you know what they are. Always have a large list of values and just know what they are and just constantly reaffirm, here's what my values are. So for me, the last thing I want to leave you with, guys, is, your values are constantly evolving and your passions, they too will evolve. So therefore, you need to be doing an assessment of these values and passions every 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Make sure you're doing that because that's going to help you out. So I hope you enjoyed this scope. I'm here every week on Thursday, 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can share your stuff with Seoba.com, and I'd love to hear more stuff from you guys. If you have things you want to talk about, let me know. Most people don't get what they want out of life because they simply don't know what they want. Yeah, because most people don't invest the time to understand who they are and what they believe in. Taking the time, thank you, I appreciate that. Take the time to really dive into understanding who you are. Are you willing to invest 100 hours of your time to get 50,000 hours of delirious happiness and fulfillment? Then if not, you should be doing that. You should actually invest your time. All right? Wish you guys all the best. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you out there on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all that stuff. Take care. Bye-bye.